Okay, so my last video got cut off, which is always irritating, but I didn't want to just reload it all again and repeat the same things. I was talking about what to me constitutes a good coffee shop, and I mentioned obviously good customer service, which involves politeness and involves really just making customers feel welcome, an amicable sort of persona, just making customers feel welcome. A good ambience, good choice of music, good seating plan. Um, all these things matter. So a few other things. This isn't for me. This wouldn't be my first thing, but I suppose choice of food is important. My younger sister has a severe nut allergy, so taking into consideration things like that, I think, is important, so that you get as wide a base as possible and you don't polarize people. For example, with allergies. Of course, that all gets into who the suppliers are and how much consideration you put into that. But I think it's important. Um, Pricing is important. I've had a situation recently where an unnamed, I won't name them, coffee chain has put up their prices quite considerably. So they're now charging in the region of £3 for a medium coffee, which to me is too much. For me, the ideal sort of pricing range should be something like, say, £1.80 for a small coffee, £2.30 for a medium, £2.50 for a large, something around that. When you start getting over £3, I'd be expecting a pretty exceptional coffee. Um, so pricing does matter, and even if you have good service, I think putting pricing up significantly just looks a bit greedy, and unless it's very exceptional, then I wouldn't pay that. Okay, I'm going to come to the next point here, which some people may consider a bit trivial, but I consider every aspect of this. Like I said in the previous video, I'm considering starting my own coffee shop business, and I want to consider every single detail, and that is the loyalty card schemes. Now, a lot of coffee shops, both chained coffee shops, which are big corporations, and independent coffee shops, have a little loyalty card, usually a little piece of paper, like cardboard paper, not hard cardboard. It's a little card, right? And it's usually something like get 8 stamps or get 10 stamps, then you get a free coffee. And the idea of this is to reward customer loyalty in the hope that they'll come back because they'll be thinking, okay, if I get these stamps, I'll get my free coffee. I think if a business is going to do something like that, it's good. It's a good principle, but they have to stick to it. They have to get it right. I've been in a place where I added up the little stamps only to find out that they decided to get rid of the card scheme. Now, I felt frankly somewhat betrayed because I'd been going to that place, adding up my stamps, and then it was void. And I think they really should have given me a coffee on the house just, because that would have been the final goal. So suddenly changing something like that, think they should give people some notice. Um, there's one place I go to and I really like it. It ticks the boxes in pretty much every other regard. It's good service, it's good coffee, it's reasonable prices, it's good atmosphere. But they fail in one aspect, and I've never understood this. For some reason, they have this loyalty card scheme, but when it comes to your eighth coffee, they say you get a regular coffee for free. Now, to me, that's just a bit stingy and it doesn't make much sense. If you're going to reward customer loyalty, then reward customer loyalty. Let them choose whatever drink they want. And I understand if it's a smaller business, they can't just hand stuff out. But the whole point of a loyalty card scheme is to recognize customer loyalty. So I've never understood why they do that. And it's to me, it's the only thing I would take away from that business because it just doesn't make sense. If you're going to have a loyalty card scheme, then don't be stingy and say, oh, you can have a regular coffee. No, let someone have whatever drink they want. If the person's spending money in there, you're not losing money because they're spending money, and it made no sense to me, and I was disappointed when I first came across that, and I couldn't. They still do it, and I don't understand why. Um, So something like that is very important. A lot of places do electronic cards. Now, I'm not a fan of this, and this is why. I just find the paper card far more straightforward. You present it, you get the stamp, and that's it. When you get enough stamps, you get your free drink. These electronic cards, you need to register online, you need to come up with a password, you need to remember the password. It's a nonsense. And a friend of mine who worked in a big coffee chain tried to explain this to me, and I couldn't, honestly, I still don't entirely get my head around it. Maybe I haven't paid enough attention, but these electronic cards, say for instance, you put £5 on them, a coffee is £2.40, say, for a medium coffee. You get two coffees over 2 periods of time, then there's 20 pence left over. So I don't really understand what you're saving. I've never understood what you're actually gaining from those electronic cards. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I just haven't paid enough attention. Maybe someone can explain to me under this, but I've never really understood what you're gaining from it. And even if you do gain something, there's no question that the process is not straightforward. Not everyone's computer savvy, and personally, I don't like anything involving passwords and logging into things. It's a nuisance. You know, contrast that with simply presenting a card and getting a stamp. Straightforward. I suppose the logic of the electronic card could be if you lose your paper card, then you have that digitally stored. So I suppose that's an advantage. But that's the only advantage I can see. In every other sense, it just seems more complicated. Okay, so just a rundown. Good customer service, that means smiling. It means being polite. A good ambience, good atmosphere. Okay, good seating plan. Don't stick seats next to a breezy door. Um, Make a good choice of music that isn't blaring through the speakers. Reasonable prices. Okay, I don't see the point of putting prices up no matter how good the coffee is. People will notice that sort of thing, and then they'll be expecting something exceptional. And most of the time, when I've seen prices go up, it isn't exceptional. It's not bad, but it's not exceptional. Um, and if you're going to do a loyalty card scheme, do it properly. Now, people might say, "Who am I to say these things?" Because I don't run a coffee shop business. No, I don't. But I am a coffee shop customer, and it's the customers that you need to be considering. Okay, so all these things I would take into consideration if I was running a business. I would insist that my staff were polite and smiled. It isn't just about being professional. It isn't just about being able to work the till. It's about making customers feel welcome. So if I had a barista, for example, and he or she couldn't smile or couldn't engage with customers, I wouldn't hire them because I wouldn't think that they were bringing something to my business to bring in customers. Right, so let me know your thoughts. What do you like in a coffee shop? What do you like in a coffee house? Um, One last thing, sticking to the subject of coffee, I often go to TK Maxx. Well, not often, but periodically. They get some great imports, and it's kind of special because these imports, once they come in, you have to buy them there and then because it's not like they get the same products every time. It's always something new, and they work with an American company called Michaels. Now, Michaels, some of the best coffee I've ever had. They have some really incredible blends, like Hawaiian blend, Southern Pecan. It's for coffee distillers, coffee percolators, but it's really good stuff. I strongly recommend Michaels. It's based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's a great company. Very, very tasty coffee. Very original. So TK Maxx, if you want, if you make coffee at home, I'm not talking about the little capsules, but actually the coffee that you put into a percolator. I strongly recommend TK Maxx. They always have a good selection, always something different. Um, Incidentally, if you want to buy coffee syrup, TK Maxx also has very reasonable prices. You try to buy coffee syrup in somewhere like Starbucks or Nero's, they charge up to £10, which is ridiculous. So yeah, TK Maxx I strongly recommend for coffee related products. Let me know your thoughts. What do you look for in a coffee shop? What do you like in a coffee